A mini scandal with someone I used to follow on Instagram inspired me to make this video. So first of all I want to say, thank you asshole! Okay, now we're good. First I'll tell you what happened with screenshots and then I'll explain more about this woke cancel culture and why this trend makes everything worse for minorities. So, the whole situation started before Halloween when an Instagram poll account owner posted some stuff about Halloween costumes that you better not wear, because she considers them offensive for specific minorities. Let's see what's this about. Okay, so blackface, brownface, which is the same thing, Asian eyes, Asian fishing, I agree. But also, Korean people should stop getting surgery, like eye surgery, to make their eyes bigger, because equality goes both ways. Promotion of rape culture like Michael Jackson with a child. This is a disgusting example. Or cosplay with someone who is unconscious, etc. Stereotypes like drunk, stoned. Okay, she was talking about some stereotypes about specific countries. But yeah, just put a line, because why not? Ableism, I'm sorry if I read this wrong. Yeah, I agree with this, but I doubt she knows what that means actually. Just mental illness mockery like anorexic or psychotic. So apparently, there is no such thing as playing your role correctly. No, you only can mock, you can't play your role correctly and respectfully. Over-sexualization of workers such as janitors, maids, nurses, etc. Both masculine and feminine. Okay bro, I don't like over-sexualized costumes, I consider them ridiculous, I'm sorry. But you don't over-sexualize workers, you over-sexualize yourself, because you are the one who wears that costumes and you also can choose whatever job you want. So this is not about over-sexualization of the workers themselves. And what bothered me the most is that she wrote this isn't up for discourse, not even if you're from that specific minority. So apparently, she knows better than minorities, and if they dare to contradict her, she'll block them. The supporter every minority needs. Yay! Definitely doesn't sound like a dictator at all. Like, I'm from a minority and this, shut up! I know better than you what is good for you, even if I'm not from your minority. I am right and you're wrong. If you disagree, I'll block you. And I replied to her story at this point, not even caring if she'll block me, and she blocked me. Yay! I checked with an account that I use just for situations like this, because she blocked me on my actual account. I made a second one since even racist wood supporters write shit about Manson supporters and then block us, because they can't handle evidence. And this is the exact same behavior of this girl. I mean woman. Exactly, she's not a deranged teen, she's a grown woman. She's like 23 or 24, 1 or 2 years older than me and acting like a brat. Just like even racist would in her ships. Don't get me wrong, she's not a Manson hater, but in this situation she's acting just like them, blocking everyone who disagrees with her because she thinks she owns the universal truth. And you better not contradict her. I posted some screenshots of her Instagram stories on my story, and I specified that I don't want people going to her Instagram and giving her hate. You can pause and read if you want, I'm not going to read it all. And even if they will talk to her politely, she will still block them anyway, because that's how you defend your argument. I exposed her in my Insta stories so people stay away from her, block her, so they don't have to interact with her. I'm not going to expose her on YouTube as well. This video will stay here for more than 24 hours. And I know my followers won't just go and give hate. But on YouTube, most people who watch my videos are my subscribers, and I can't know anyway. At first, I thought I was too mean to her for exposing her in my Insta stories. But then, I checked her stories again with my second account and I saw this. Lemao, exactly, this is so funny indeed. Nothing more funny than someone defending Michael Jackson and then telling you a psycho costume can also raise awareness. Nothing more funny, not even your clownish behavior. And wait, there's more. 2 other offended beings, or it may be the same person, agreeing with her delusions. Love how they completely missed the point that people have in fact worn costumes as Michael with a child, and that in itself is specifically about pedophilia and rape regardless of if he was innocent or not. I love how they also completely missed the point. So, a simple cosplay of Michael Jackson with a child is, after their logic, pedophilia and rape culture? At this point, everyone with a child is pedophilia, regardless of them being pedos or not. What the hell? Okay, let's move on from the fact that this person thinks that cosplaying innocent people with kids is apparently pedophilia. So at this point, every cosplay with a kid is pedophilia. Anyway, what's next is even more delusional. Somehow I can imagine this person having tantrums like a brat while writing this. You're not ready for that, I'm telling you. Okay, get ready. And listen here. These people exist. Psycho costumes isn't mocking! Raising awareness! Are they kidding me? Oh my fucking god, how dumb can one person be? How it's not common sense that those costumes belittle people with actual mental disorders? Like it's obvious, right? Or is it really not? They sound more like a neurotypical than anything. We do not claim them. X. You're dumb or it's obvious aren't arguments. Also, assuming won't help. So fucking immature. And how dumb can one person be? This is the exact same thing I'm asking myself while reading your reply. Ever heard of playing a role, playing it correctly, without mocking and without stereotyping? Like it's obvious, right? Or is it not? They sound more like an offended brat than anything. P.S. I don't need any offended being to claim me. And last time when I checked, paranoia is a serious mental illness. Or is it not? As you can see, guys, not only she's talking about stuff she doesn't understand, but also she doesn't want to understand. Same for the people who replied to her story. Completely missed the point. No bringing arguments, just assuming and saying it's obvious, which means nothing. And psycho costumes are a big part of horror art. And of course the politically correct ones want to cancel horror art. Just like those so-called Christians claiming Marilyn Manson's music is making their kids violent, or making them devil worshippers. Meanwhile, if you pay attention to his lyrics or his interviews, you'll just see he's against hypocrisy and against brainwashing using the name of God, not against God himself. This is what Manson said about this subject. Like Anton LaVey, I also had discovered what happens when you say something powerful that makes people think. They become afraid of you and they neutralize your message by giving you a label that is not open to interpretation. Not open to interpretation sounds familiar. As a fascist, a devil worshipper, or an advocate of rape and violence. Also sounds familiar. And horror art, dark art in general, is a great way to cope with a lot of things, including traumas or mental problems. As someone with mental problems and a horror fan and artist, they will never take this away from me. I guess they have a problem with horror or dark art because most horror or dark stuff is showing the world just as it is, with or without metaphors. Just like Manson's music. And this is exactly why it can help you cope. It can help you exteriorize feelings, emotions, by consuming horror art, listening to dark music, watching horror movies, instead of repressing them and then exteriorizing these feelings in violent, harmful ways. It can show you you're not alone, and that other people are in your situation or similar situations as well. Another thing that Manson said about it, this time about music in general. When I was a kid growing up, music was the escape. That's the only thing that had no judgments, you put on a record and it's not going to yell at you for dressing the way you do. It's going to make you feel better about it. Horror, dark art can also be a type of exposure therapy that helps you overcome your fears and anxiety. Now, strictly talking about psycho costumes, you can, and you should, play your role correctly, without mocking or stereotyping, so you raise awareness. But I guess these offended beings don't know that, so apparently it's needed for me, an actual cosplayer, to explain it. I guess it was obvious that you can play your role correctly. Or is it not? Before moving on to the second part of this video, I want to ask you what you guys think about it. Tell me in the comments. Don't be afraid to disagree with me, but in a polite way, please. I also asked other persons on Instagram, and this is what they said. This person wanted to remain anonymous. They said, "Damn species." And I replied, especially she pissed me off when she said she doesn't care about the opinions of people who are in these categories. But what is she, the queen of ass? That's a Romanian expression and it means the center universe, and it's a derogatory term. She deserves it. She suddenly knows better than people in these situations. She's a total bitch. She nothing but concerns herself as the center of the universe. And then I said again, exactly, just like even racist would. Okay, and now I'm sorry bro, I don't know how to read your name. Please check this Instagram account, they're amazing. Okay, so she said, what the fucking cunt. She's saying that she knows more about oppression than minorities do? Reminds me of that motherfucker who accused me of encouraging rape and misogyny just because I gave some information on why I believe Manson is innocent, thinking he knows better about womanhood than I, a cis female, do just because he's a gay man. Like, what the fuck? You will be even less connected with the womanhood if you're gay. Comma White Black said, if anything, I think for some people those costumes could possibly be a way to cope with mental illness. At least that's how I see it. Thank you so much for understanding. Exactly. Cosplaying psycho characters actually helped me very much, especially the character of Val. I have a separated video about this, I'll put it in the description. Okay, now let's talk about this trend with woke, cancel culture, political correctness, fake activism, social justice warriors, radicals in any way, extremism in general. I'm gonna read what's right now on the screen, but I'll also let it like that, so you can screenshot and share it if you need. This whole woke so-called progressive current is not helping anyone. It just made it so much worse, especially for LGBT persons, black persons, mentally ill persons, and everyone who has ever discriminated. We want equal rights, not cancel culture, not limiting freedom of speech, not demonizing everything and calling everything offensive simply because some people have interest. And also we don't want to be scapegoats because of these ones who think they can speak up for us. They pretend only what they like is right and everything else has to be cancelled. Equal rights, respecting every citizen and treating them like a human isn't sugarcoating literally every single thing. We don't want to live in a bubble. We are not babies. And also, who are these progressive ones to decide what is right? The freedom is going down. This is like a crusade. It's like fanatics deciding what sin is, brainwashing and torturing people, but mentally. This is almost the same as with cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation. Indeed, these things have a clear definition that apply to all cultures, and nobody can mess them up simply because they get offended. But from what I've seen, the ones who call out this cultural appropriation the most are people who have absolutely nothing to do with their culture, again with speaking up for people without even knowing what is bothering them, or what cultural appropriation means in general. Of course, someone's culture, any culture, is definitely way more deeper than a trend and should be treated as such. I support learning about other cultures than yours. I support borrowing something from it, as long as you don't mock it, don't fetishize it, don't stereotype it. Actually know its symbolistics and respect them. Culture is not a superficial thing. But I don't get why people get so offended simply because someone borrows something without mocking in any way. I just said that culture is way more deeper than a trend, and everyone should be aware of it. But don't treat every single unintentional thing like a crime. This is extreme, especially when that country itself uses that specific thing as a trend too. Example, the Romanian ear is used as something cultural and also as a trend. Also, should I get offended when non-Christians wear Christian crosses? After their logic, this is appropriation as well. Also, I want to talk about the people who are in a category and claim they speak up for the whole community. The ones who aren't a part of a minority and talk without knowing anything should definitely keep their mouths shut. But also there are persons from that minority who claim the whole minority has identical problems, that they are bothered by the same things, and that they are sharing the same opinions, beliefs. They are harmful as well. They basically claim the whole community is just a bunch of walking stereotypes. They don't seem to be very in touch with their community. When I posted my trans support video, I clearly specified the video is based on my experience and it's not the same for everyone. Remember that person who said about me we don't claim them? So you don't claim me, but at the same time you're referring to yourself as we? Like in the meme with the communist rabbit. And that explains a lot. Many times, cisgender people called me, a transgender guy, transphobic because I don't fit in their transphobic stereotypes. If you can imagine this. Stereotyping is harmful, just like talking without knowing. People from a minority can definitely speak up for the problems in their minority, but not to act like they're a bunch of clones. Why would someone stereotype their own community anyway? Damn, this knows it all. And now, I'll show you other examples of people who think they can speak up for other categories, but they're damn misinformed, so they make it worse. If you really support mentally ill people, can't you just write normally? Stop shaming poor hygiene, social withdrawal, being sensitive, soft, conflict avoidance, armchair activism, indecisiveness, living with parents, being weird, low energy, shyness, quiet, irregular sleep patterns, overthinking, messy homes, bro. What the fuck? If you really support mentally ill people, you don't associate every single bad trait with a mental illness. Because of posts like this, we are stereotyped and seen as freaks, hypersensitive, mentally impaired, not able to take care of themselves. Indeed, you shouldn't shame people who are like that. But don't stereotype us. This is misinformation. The problem is not black and white. This is just like Sia's movie about autism. Stereotypes and only that. You wanted to help, but you have no knowledge about this. Instead of stereotyping the shit out of us and associating mental illnesses with every single bad trait, couldn't you just say don't shame people for these things, you don't know what problems they may have? Simple as that. Okay, so here's another example of how you can support us without stereotyping or without being superficial. Everybody saw I support people with mental illnesses until these people start showing symptoms, Lamau. To elaborate, yeah, people will understand the basic symptoms such as sadness and or being nervous, but once someone starts having random fits of rage, inconsolable panic attacks, no energy or motivation to do shit, hallucinations, paranoia, mood swings, etc. Everybody is suddenly like, wow, what the fuck, just stop. See, it's possible. It's possible. If you really support us, you don't stereotype the shit out of us, and don't associate every single bad trait with a mental problem. This is important. Now I'll show you some comments on a video of Joynan. By the way, Joynan is amazing. Check his channel and please ignore the thumbnail. So, let's get into the comments. Someone commented, in regards of the thumbnail, how does a man pee down both legs simultaneously? Someone replied, he asked a friend for help. And then, a social justice warrior replied, just pee? Another person replied to that social justice warrior, do you know male anatomy? And they replied, there's no such a thing as male anatomy. Gender and anatomy aren't related. And you can just pee and it will go on the floor on your feet. It doesn't just vanish. And then the person replied to the social justice warrior, bruh, I literally didn't say anything about gender. Gender and anatomy have nothing to do with each other, but yes, there is male and female anatomy. Because those who are the two biological sexes, except intersex, which is rare, being non-binary or trans doesn't change your biological sex. It changes your gender, but people generally have either male or female anatomy, which you can choose if you transit, but my point is, unless a male person with male anatomy can't, I don't think, really pee with both legs at once like someone with female anatomy. I'm not trying to get into an argument, but there is such thing as male and female anatomy. Another person replied to the social justice warrior, how can you be this dumb? And then another person replied to the social justice warrior, if you ever seen a diagram or have common sense, biological males and females have different anatomy. Did you ever wonder why girls get their menstrual cycle and breasts and guys don't? Because anatomy. Males and females have separate anatomy in some aspects. Okay, and the reply of the social justice warrior is hallucinating. There is no such a thing as biological males and females. That's a transphobic construct. Gender and anatomy are not related. Literally nobody ever said in this comment section that gender and anatomy are related. And the person replied to the social justice warriors, that's really not transphobic unless you're saying something transphobic and then say that. Then it's not transphobic and I'm trans. See what I mean? I replied to the social justice warrior as well. As a trans guy, shut up. Erasing the existence of biological bodies is also erasing the existence and validity of us trans people. So therefore it's transphobic. You got your transphobic ass called out. You don't speak up for people, especially if you don't know the problem. And then I replied to that person who replied to them. Exactly, we don't need those kiddies to speak up for ourselves. They're not even helping. Like, what the fuck is with these cis people thinking they know everything? Like, cis people. This is transphobic, trans people. It isn't cis people. Why do you accept it? Translation for the last line. I know nothing about your experience, so I'll just assume everything's bothering you even if you told me it doesn't. I'm gonna admit that sometimes in my own activism I had an attitude that shouldn't be the attitude of an actual activist. Of course I wasn't discrediting minorities and I wasn't blocking people simply because they disagreed with me. But I still did some things that I'm not really proud of, and it's never a good idea to do them. Aside from arguing with every single idiot I saw, being enough of an idiot as well for hoping to change their minds, I was also passive-aggressive while expressing some of my opinions. Sometimes I was acting like if something's bothering me, then nobody should do that, which was very stupid from me actually. Other times I was calling people stupid because they were misinformed or didn't know about some things. Meanwhile, some of these people just had nobody to teach them or just didn't have any good source to learn these things from. And I was too exigent with them. I'm very exigent with myself as well. Still, this didn't give me the right to act like that to those people. I'm not talking about the ones who claim to be always right, everyone else is wrong, they don't even bother to check facts, and they're just acting like that full account owner. No, I'm talking about people who just didn't know, and that's all. It was wrong for me to judge them. No, I'm more patient, I'm more understanding, and I'm not that easily annoyed. Also, I am not implied in activism that much, unless that thing really affects me or the people around me. I don't consider myself an activist anymore. And just as I said, minorities and everyone can speak for themselves. They're not babies. I don't have to help every single person on this planet. Because also I am not helped by every single person on this planet. I'll do that when I think it's necessary, but again, I'll be focusing on the things that directly affect me and the people around me. I've changed, I've matured over these years, but I'm still young. I still have things to learn and to work on. And I think that one day it's possible for that poll account owner to change too, and to look back at herself and say, God, what an idiot I was. To be honest, my hopes are very low, but they still exist. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't expose her. People change. Let's hope she's gonna change too. Please God, let it be. But until then, I had to present her as a negative example, because it's never okay to put minorities down. It's never okay to claim you know more about a minority you're not even into than people from that minority. Also, blocking people just for voicing an opinion politely is literally admitting you don't have any arguments and you're just immature.